Hello and welcome. I'm Margaret Ann, and tonight we're going to talk about dreams and symbolism, tools for self-awareness. They sure are tools for self-awareness. Um, Using the dream time is extremely powerful, and there's so many ways to approach it. I'll share some ideas with you, and I'm sure you've already done dreaming without me even talking about it, because that's the way it happens. So first, we'll talk about the dream part. So first, if you want to be more conscious in getting more help with during the dream time, prepare your space. Now, as you can see in this photograph on the right, I hung a dream catcher behind this bed in this photograph. So maybe you have a dream catcher. That might be something that you might want to include so that every time you get into bed, you look at the dream catcher and that can be a signal or a symbol to remember your dreams. Now, dream catchers typically are being used over the years by Native people to catch the negative dreams in the knots, and only the good dreams can flow down to the dreamer below. And then with the light of day dissipates any negative dream time energy that were stuck in those little knots within the dream catcher. Now, we have many reasons why we may have different types of dreams and perhaps even challenging dreams, which we'll get into in a moment. But one of the things that I want to remind you of or tell you is that we really can get the answers we need through our sleeping dream time. We can even get the answers we need in a lucid dream or a shamanic type of dream where we go into a dreaming journey, which we've done some work with that in the past with some of my workshops, and that's probably something that will come up again. But the more you prepare your space, the more that you're signaling your consciousness. I want to remember my dreams. I want to have peaceful sleep, sound sleep, deep sleep, to heal my body and to process my day. So, some of the things that I like to utilize prior to bed, one of them is aromatherapy, and that's, of course, one of my favorites because I'm an aromatherapist. And so, some suggestions for you if you wish you can inhale chamomile, lavender, or we have a blend called Sleep Well, which is lavender and chamomile in combination. You can use lavender mist, where it's either our brand, lavender mist, or you can get a bottle, put water in it. Doesn't have to be, it can be right out of the tap. It doesn't have to, because you're spraying it in the air, doesn't matter. And you put, let's say, 3 to 5 milliliters, or yeah, about 3 milliliters. I would put 3 to 5 milliliters in a 2 ounce bottle with the water into the bottle, and then you give it a good shake and spray it around your space. I like to spray my linens, my bed linens, with that. Now, another one is Euphoria, which is a combination of various essential oils with the intention to calm you down. One of the ingredients is clary sage, another is spikenard, and these help to really calm your muscles, calm your mind, relax your body, mind, and spirit. It's a relaxation spray or in an oil. So you can make your own variation on that. You can either buy the Crystal Garden brand or you can make it yourself too if you're crafty. Guardian Angel spray is another one that I really like to utilize, or Sweet Dreams, to spray the bed. I like to spray the bed, not a lot. You just spray a little because otherwise your bed's going to become wet because it's mostly water. And then usually about 3 milliliters of whatever blend or single note essential oil. So as you can see in this photograph on the right, those all those oils over there, and sprays ready to be sprayed. So you might even want to line one or two next to your bed and have it ready for when you go to sleep. So in addition to using aromatherapy to prepare your space, you can also use gemstones, which, over the many little mini free workshops I've done, I've shared about different stones for different purposes. So this is perhaps a review for many of you, but amethyst is like one of my number one go-to stones for the dream time. It is good for keeping away nightmares, for helping transform and transmute challenging energy, and it is known for helping people to sleep and for pleasant dreams. It's good for keeping away nightmares. Now, I also, an amethyst is shown here in this picture. It's on the windowsill, that big purple point, that's the amethyst. And then the black tourmaline is one that I like to use because it's good for deflecting negativity and for keeping and being grounded. So some people maybe take off in their dreams, which is not bad, but you still want to stay in your body. That's what I recommend, to stay in the body. So the black tourmaline is in this photograph at the foot of the bed on the sort of on the ground. The clear quartz is on the nightstand. I had fun putting these crystals on this photograph. And clear quartz for clarity. So you may, like for many years, I slept with a clear quartz point. Mine had a little, like almost a groove in it for a thumbprint, and I'd fall asleep with the point in my hand. Didn't necessarily wake up with the point in my hand, but by holding the crystal as I was falling asleep, I was signaling my consciousness that I will get answers during the dream time. And if I wanted to specifically remember my dreams, then I would intend that with that crystal, a so-called program the clear quartz crystal to remember that the reason I'm holding this crystal is to remember my dreams. Now, I personally more often just wake up knowing the answer. I don't necessarily have the full dream in my memory bank and diagnose it or analyze it. I just wake up with the answers, which is very, very nice, I must say. So another gemstone that we can use, it's very good for grounding, and if you're feeling hyperactive, sometimes it's very antsy and you need to like calm down, hematite is very effective for that. So you could get yourself like maybe a little worry stone where it has like an indentation where you can groove it, make a groove, or perhaps you can put some on your nightstand. You know, if you wanted to use these crystals in your bed, what I like to do is I put them in the pillowcase. And that way I can find my crystals again. Otherwise, they sometimes seem to disappear. Herkimer diamonds. Now, those are typically, unless you're spending a little chunk of change, they're little pieces, little Herkimers. Now, the Herkimer diamonds are clear quartz, but they are formed in such a manner that they look like diamonds, that they grow that way in Herkimer, New York. So it's just a type of clear quartz crystal that comes from a specific area, a specific region. Labradorite. So because of the reflective nature of labradorite, it's also sometimes known as spectralite. And when it's black, it's called larvikite. It's a beautiful gemstone, and that's on the windowsill next to the Herkimer diamonds on the windowsill in this picture. That has, a beautiful reflective nature, and that's because in the dream time we want to go deep within our consciousness. We do want to utilize that time for reflection and for processing, which we'll talk about in a moment. I like to have rose quartz in my bedroom, and now the rose quartz is on the nightstand. It's a little rose quartz sphere next to the hematite. See the hematite, rose quartz, and the clear quartz on the nightstand. And rose quartz because I want to be surrounded by love. I think that's one of the best ways to fall asleep is surrounded by love. And selenite to bring more light vibration, higher consciousness energy, awakening consciousness. So we're not waking you up, no wakey wakey, but awaken your consciousness with selenite. And it's also connected with the moon cycles and the moon, which has to do with being intuitive and being receptive, which we want to have that vibration in our dream time to connect with our higher consciousness. So those are my suggestions for preparing your space with crystals. Now, if you want to do dream recall, which is so interesting and really great to do, especially if you dream and then wake up and journal or write down key phrases. Now, one of the keys I found, speaking of key phrases, one of the keys is to have a journal on next to your nightstand, on your nightstand, with the pencil there ready or pen, and write it down like that. If you use like a mobile device, the light opens up, your eyes wake up. It's a little bit too much activating your consciousness from a standpoint of waking you up. With dream recall, I highly recommend that you have some paper, here, I'll crinkle paper, and a pen, and nearby, and even if it's just a key phrase, I saw a car, I was in the car, there was somebody that was coming and taking the door off of the passenger side of the car. I was in a neighborhood that I rarely go in, but I was on such and such a street, and then all of a sudden there were all these people around the car. Did I recognize any of the people in the car, around the car? You can ask yourself questions. So do some what's called contemplative journaling, where you write some key phrases down and then take those key phrases and work with it, play with it, and let yourself do some free flow writing from the key phrases that you put down. You want to pick up what kind of feelings you had in the dream. How did you feel? What, if there were specific colors, if there was any symbols that you noticed, a particular type of plant or an animal, a tree, whatever you can recall, even if it's not a whole story, at least the key components of the dream. So that's how you start with those. And once you start journaling, when you wake up in the morning, or wake up even in the middle of the night to write some of this down, which sometimes is not so legible when you wake up, but it's better because then you have like a record, and the information builds one upon the other, and it helps with getting to know yourself. This is one of the purposes is for self-awareness and higher and improving your spiritual life and your personality, and working on yourself. I find it to be very, very productive. So there are different types of dreams that we can have. We can have one that's your internal psychologist, where you're working, processing the day. So important. It's so important to get into a deep sleep, and let your consciousness process all the things that went on, and really work through it. And some of the dreams that you might recall really are simply just that. You're just processing life. You're processing everything that's going on. This is very much a solar plexus type of a vibration, where you're digesting life. Or you could be perhaps doing some prophetic dreaming. You're having a dream that is in some way a prophecy, or telling you something to be conscious of or aware of, so that you just have the answers for certain situations. And sometimes they're visitations from spirit. Love when that happens. So let's go back to the prophetic dreamer for a moment. I'll give you like an example. It doesn't have to be this great prophecy thing, but what happens for me sometimes is that's how I get some of the titles of the books that I write. I wake up and I have the title. In fact, we're going to talk about this book in a section, but my Animal Totems in the Gemstone Kingdom book, that was the title I woke up with. I was told, Animal Totems in the Gemstone Kingdom. Make your associations between crystals and animals and animal medicine, and the symbology behind that. And so that's what I did. I got up, literally, not even coffee, went right to my computer, sent off an email. I have 2 publishing houses that like to publish my work. Thank you so much. And the one that came back, right away and wanted it, that's who published it. So it's and it even usually your working title isn't even the title of the book, but in this case, this was the title of the book. So that's a type of prophecy, because I knew what had to happen. I knew what I had to do. And that happens a lot with my writing, for me. Everybody's type of dreams and the types of things that they find out in their dream time, it's different. We're all very unique and individual. So visitations from spirit. Now, it has a totally different flavor when we have a visit from someone on the other side. In fact, I think I made separate. Oh, I did. Okay, we'll go back. We're going to jump ahead here because I forgot I did this. So visitation, I have a lot going on, so I don't always remember all my PowerPoint slides. So sometimes they're just direct messages from a loved one on the other side. It's like they show up in the dream, they tell you something, or you feel like you don't really see them, but you know that's them, and they tell you something, so that's a beautiful experience. Sometimes we're getting visitations from spirit where there's spirit guides. Maybe you're not even seeing the spirit guide, but you feel like the message was, or the experience had to do with that you were getting messages from spirit guides or angels. Now, the ones that, well, that were loved ones from the other side, I love when that happens. I'll tell you when that happened for me. So one night I fell asleep in the recliner in my living room, and um, my husband fell asleep in his man cave. So we weren't even in the bedroom. Neither of us were in the bedroom. And I had the alarm system went off and woke us both up. But before the alarm went off, I was dreaming, but it felt like he was in the house. My father was in this glowing light. My father's on the other side, in this beautiful glowing light, and we were just about to embrace, and I was saying to him, "Oh, it's so good to see you." And as we were about to hug, the alarm went off, and it was, I mean, so real. And I really, like, I remember when I woke up, I thought, oh my goodness, his energy sent the alarm off. So, we dealt with, the security company, and talked to them and told them everything was all right. We looked around, we checked, we reset the alarm, went back to sleep. And I wanted to see my father again. So I'm like, come on, Dad, come on back. Let me see you again. So I was blessed to have him come back again. And as soon as he showed up in that glowing light in my dream time, sure enough, the alarm went off again. And so this time we turned off the alarm for the night, and I realized that it really was my father visiting. So we have all different, I'm sure you have plenty of stories along those lines. But this happened through the dream time for me. And I've seen other relatives and visited with other relatives in the dream time as well. The dream feels different when it has to do with visitations from spirit. Now, I'm going to go back here because I kind of skipped over and forgot I had slides. So, with the internal psychologist, I want to talk about that a little bit more. Um, so, the blessing of using the dream time as an internal psychologist is we can use this for self observation. And now I'm not talking about where we're judging ourselves. No, no, that's different. Self observation is where you literally are being an objective observer, and you're watching how you're acting and reacting during the dream. So you also can even use the self-observation in daily life to observe how the day went. In fact, it's called recapitulation, and you can read about recapitulation in some books like by Carlos Castaneda, where you use recapitulation, which is looking back at the day and starting, the one type of recapitulation is going back to the beginning of the day and remembering the day from when you woke up, all the different situations, the people you interacted with, how you acted and reacted, but not with judgment. No, no, it's just you're observing. You're saying, "Oh, isn't that interesting?" Sort of like, "Isn't that interesting?" Oh, it's raining out. You're not judging the rain. You're just noticing it's raining. So it's that kind of a vibe when you're using recapitulation. And sometimes it's beneficial. I like to journal when I recapitulate. Now, there's a much more complex recapitulation, so you do that with the dream time, but you can also do it with your life, from the beginning of your life to the present moment, which is a very profound process, but it's good for seeing how you've grown and things that you've learned. So that's really good. Now, the other thing about, I mentioned about feelings in the dream, what you saw in the dream. So, and during that vibration, while you're looking, I should say, during the vibration of the dream, let's say, and I have a picture of a kitchen here, let's say you're in the kitchen in a house, but you don't really know that house. But look, I wonder why there's a ladder outside the window in the house. So you could write down that you saw a ladder, it's up against the window to the right by the kitchen sink, and I don't know, this reminds me of grandma's kitchen. You could go through this. Well, maybe there's something with the ladder. Maybe actually in real life, maybe you're having roof issues and you have to climb up the ladder to deal with it, or people are climbing up ladders around your house. So that could be where you're, trying to figure things out, or maybe you need to climb up the ladder to higher level of awareness, and the ladder represents looking at life from a higher perspective and looking at the big picture. So without having a literal dream to interpret for you, that's one way. And I mentioned the car vehicle, like what short and sweet. I said a dream that actually I was remembering while I was sharing, which I was in a car, was my old BMW. And there were people that did take off one of the doors to the car. And what I had to do with that dream that I mentioned earlier is to take a look at that I'm the car, I'm the door, I'm the people that are around the car, and look at each component of the dream and be all the aspects of the dream and what that means. Because often being a vehicle, it's your body as a vehicle, where our consciousness sees things as where vehicle, our spirit is inside of this body, which is like being like the car for the soul, so to speak. So you can look at things like that in that way. Hopefully that made sense. When animals are or plants are in a dream, you want to perhaps look up what that means in a book. What does it mean? What is the herb rosemary about? And then look up what that means and how that might be relating to your life if you dreamt about the rosemary plant. Or perhaps you dreamt of a snake, and what does that have to do with anything? And maybe you're going through a major transformation and change in your life, and that's why you're dreaming about a snake. It's not a negative thing, it's actually a very positive thing. It's a healing thing. And also if there's specific people that show up and what they represent to you and how they interact in your life. And if you don't know the people in the dream, sometimes you are the person in the dream and you're also the people that you don't know. They represent you as well. Yep, it goes complex. Hopefully that made sense to you. So then the prophetic dreaming, like I mentioned earlier, this it's a type of claircognizance. So we have six senses, right? So we have in the what I call the clairs, or the metaphysical version of our senses. We have clairvoyance, clairaudience, claircognizance, clairsentience, clairolfaction, and clairgustation. So claircognizance, cognizance is to know. You just know something. You don't know how you know it, you just know it. So like I mentioned about my experience with the one of many experiences with waking up knowing something in the case of the book title and knowing that I had to write that book. And trust your feelings, whether it's sleeping dreams, waking experiences. Listen to your guidance. I just spoke to a customer today that just really paused and really listened to her guidance, and it really turned out that she was right on. And so it's good to pay attention, to pause, and have even the courage to say, wait a second, I want to hear my guidance. I want to listen to what I'm getting here for a moment. And then trust yourself, believe yourself. If that's what you feel in a dream, you could look up in any dream book about anything. It doesn't necessarily mean that that interpretation is your interpretation. It could give you, though, ideas on how to interpret what you have seen or experienced in the dream time. Okay, hopefully that all made sense. And we also get some great ideas through dreaming. I'm telling you, it's so great. Now, I want to shift into the symbols and symbolism aspect of tonight's little presentation, which is already almost time to finish up. But so we get messages from the divine all the time. We all are very highly intuitive, everybody, not just some of us, every single one of us. So it's very helpful to make life easier, this earth walk that we're all on. Pay attention. Pay attention to your inner voice, what you're hearing, what vibes, what hunches you're feeling. Believe yourself. It's very powerful. And notice the signs and symbols throughout the day, whether it's a billboard or something that you see on a bumper sticker, even something that may show up that's symbolic inside of, like in this case, you have a cup of coffee with a beautiful heart in it. But maybe it's even a crystal that you have that has, somehow you see, I don't know, a forest or the sun setting in the forest. Kate always sees that when she's got our rhodonite. Rhodonite, she always sees that. But but this could be symbolic of something. And so it's good to check into what that can mean for you, because a sunflower for me may be something totally different than for you. Being in a playground for me might be something totally different for you. So you look and see what it feels like for you, what it means to you. Maybe you had negative experiences in the playground, or maybe you had positive experiences, but you learned from those experiences. And when you remember the experience, it doesn't mean something bad. It could just be like, oh, yes, from that experience, I learned XYZ, and I can see how that relates to today's situation in the playground, the like playground of life. Hopefully that made sense. So we can see symbols in the animal kingdom, in the gemstone kingdom. And so in this case, we have a nice little lizard who's visiting us, hanging on my book. And lizard, also in the book, Animal Totems in the Gemstone Kingdom by yours truly, me. I have matched up with Herkimer diamonds. This has to do with going within and being conscious of the dream time. Now, notice that I have Herkimer diamond on the left side here of the screen with Archangel Gabriel, and that this is from my Archangels and Gemstone Guardians cards. So Herkimer diamonds in this case are associated with also with dreamings. In fact, the message on the card, so we can get signs and symbols by pulling a card from an oracle deck. Um, the question is, are you able to recall your dreams? And maybe the answer is no. No, I haven't been able to. But then the next question I would follow up is, do you want to? Do you want to get help from the dream time? Because it's a free resource for you to utilize for your life. So dreams can be your internal psychologist and spiritual advisor. We just said that, right? So right here on the card, take time before going to sleep to form the intention to remember your dreams. What else does it say? Record them when you awaken and use them for contemplation. Dreams are powerful tools for self-healing, personal awareness, and spiritual growth. So that's on one side of the card with the Herkimer diamond. Then with the Archangel Gabriel, who is very much associated in my world with the energy of the direction of the West, which is the great void, the great mystery, the going within to know the truth that was within ourselves. So this is an affirmation with Archangel Gabriel. My dreams are filled with ideas and inspiration. I awaken with a clear memory of any dreams and easily interpret them. So that I like, because this vibration of affirming, I easily remember my dreams. The insights I receive from the dream time bring clarity and understanding to my life. So by affirming certain statements, positive affirmations, you can find yourself the answers from within. It's a weird little red line on my screen there. Okay, so what's that a symbol of? Spirit trying to write through my presentation. So, lizard medicine, some of the qualities are camouflage. So there are situations where you might want to become invisible. And so if lizard shows up in your life, that could be like you want to kind of sink into the background and not be so obvious. And they represent illusions in your life, and also being distracted, easily distracted. And sometimes we want distraction because that is beneficial sometimes when we're trying to get through a situation. Just like, let's say, parents often use distraction with children to get them to stop fussing, or a magician uses distraction to uh, bring your attention somewhere else while the sleight of hand is happening on the other side. So that has a representation there. And then to let go, to grow. So with lizards, their tails detach. And sometimes that's symbolic of, sometimes we have to let go of certain things that are part of us, in this case, the lizard's tail, but in our case, some aspect of our life, but that allows us to grow and to continue and move forward. And also lizards represent patience. So another symbol that is very familiar to many people is butterfly. And so butterfly often represents having that maybe there's some change, some you're ready to make a change. And so these are some questions you can ask yourself. These are some questions right out of my book, Animal Totems in the Gemstone Kingdom. You think about the questions. Have you been thinking about making a few small changes in your life? Are you willing to experience a fairly big result or series of outcomes that change the course of your life? Ooh, that's interesting to think about. Have you noticed that something feels different? So butterfly could have you bring up that thought to think about. Is something different here? Is your direction changing? So this is about change and transformation. Dragonfly. So now this is also an excerpt right out of the book and right off of the deck. So now let's just talk on about the message from Dragonfly that's on the right-hand side. And we're running out of time, so I just want to read this directly off of the screen for you. So like really focus on the dragonfly because I don't know about you, but especially in August, I see a lot of dragonflies. Message from Dragonfly. You have an opportunity to break down illusions, uncover the truth, and overcome fears created by the illusions in your mind. Spend time in or near water in order to tap into your emotions and feelings and gain a deeper understanding of yourself. Allow the translucent wings of dragonfly to help you see and understand the dream. We are the dream, we are the dreamer. I could sing to you now, but we'll go on. Do something about your life and what you want to create. So, this is a message to take action also. There is no better time than the present moment. The time is now. The dragonfly affirmation: I am ready to transform my life into one filled with truth and clarity. My emotions are balanced because this is a water vibration dragonfly. So, it's emotion based. It's easy for me to transform and transmute challenging situations. I pay attention to my dreams, interpret them, and take action based on my findings. And it goes on, but that's enough for that. So this is about finding your messages in any way that you can, whether it's an animal, whether it's some symbol on the wall, and looking it up. For frog, I'm not going to read through this. If you want, you can watch this later and pause it here to read this. But one thing I will say, it was right before a big deal with one of my publishing houses people that publish me. And I was in my pool where I do a lot of contemplative thought and prayer work. And all of a sudden, seemingly out of nowhere, a beautiful frog leaped out of the water and went really far in the pool. And what I was thinking about in the moment was the beautiful shift and change that was happening with one of the publishers that I get published by, and I knew at that moment that frog was a symbol of preparing me that there would be a major leap forward because of that change. It's all so good. So you have to apply it to your life. So now there's another type of dream that I want to mention before we close. And this type of dream is the dream that you have of what you want in your life, what you want for yourself, what you want for those around you and your future. So shoot for your dreams and realize your full potential, including all the money you need and desire in order to live an abundant life. Love yourself enough to accept this and know you are worthy. Shoot for your dreams and realize your full potential. You can do it. Dream big. It's a beautiful thing. So I wish you all pleasant dreams tonight. I hope that maybe because of this presentation, you'll remember a dream when you wake up, and that will be something that will help you as you walk through life throughout your days. And I hope that next week you'll join me again for another presentation. Next week, oh, it's Empath's Guide to Self-Care, dealing with spirits and apparitions and other people's energy. Mamma mia, that's going to be a good one. So I'll do a little free, again, guided meditation, and then followed by the Empath's Guide to Self-Care. So these are all my books at the present moment. I just sent off a manuscript to my publisher, so we have a book deck coming out in 2022. Very excited. And I want to thank you all for watching, and I hope this helps you in some way in your life to uplift and inspire. And so I want to thank the Crystal Garden, my wonderful store that is 33 years old. We turned 33 on August 8th, 2021. I'm so excited. Yay for the Crystal Garden. And so I wish you many blessings and much love. May your days be filled with blessings and love, and may your angels light your path. Thanks so much for watching.